Another one, Paul here. Today I'm going to be going over part 2 of the strategy that I talked about yesterday. Now, if you haven't seen that video, go make sure to watch the video from yesterday, part 1, where I go over the 2 EMAs that you need to set it up, and it's pretty powerful. But today I just want to go over the best time frame that I've personally found to do this strategy. And from observation, from looking at this strategy for a couple days, it doesn't really work that well for the short term. I don't do this strategy on the 5 minute or even the 15. I focus on the time frame that I focus on is the hour, and that, because that time frame, you can actually find a lot of those moments where it's, you know, really going down or really going up. Or it's the 2 EMAs, the 9 and the 55, really show those moments, because it follows it when it can kind of latches onto the market, and you can really find those moments where it's really going to go up or really going to go down by focusing on the hour. So I'm going to show you why I think the hour is the best time frame to focus on with these moving averages. Okay, so before we begin here, we want to look at Bitcoin here, and it is a little bit early, but these are the 2 EMAs I talked about yesterday. What we got here is Bitcoin. We got Bitcoin on the hour, like I was talking about, and we got our EMA set up. We got the 9 and 55. It's the same ones from yesterday. So what we can notice right here, if we look at Bitcoin, is, now this is a little early, but I'm going to put my futures trade in right now because it looks like the market's going to go down. You see that from here, and we can see it's probably going to cross within the next hour to 2 hours. So I will probably open up a short from here. So I'm going to do that real quick. So I am going to do, now this is just a small short, just to test things out. I'm only going to work with just a little bit here with 10%. And at 50 times leverage, we're going to do a short. And I'm going to enter trade. And trade has been submitted. So let's look at it real quick. Okay, so I'm going to make this video and see if I'm in any kind of gains by the end of this video. Okay, but on to the actual strategy. What I like doing after I get in a trade is I like making a little mark to kind of show where I got in. Okay, so that's the starting point of my trade. So anyway, what we can see from doing it on the hour here, we can see that when it went up, you can see that it went up right here. And this is why I focus on the hour, and I'm going to show you both crypto futures, and I'm going to show you the stock market too. But this is why I do it on the hour. You see right here where it crossed. Usually the point, and we don't have to really look at the candles. You know, actually, just remove that line. We'll just know if I'm in profit or not by the end of this video. But if you just remove the candles and you look at the lines, you'll notice that where they cross and where they cross again. Now this is on the hour. Now if you did this on the 5 minute or shorter time frames, it's, you know, you won't catch these big differences between the two moving averages here. But the only disadvantage of doing it on the hour is you have to wait longer, but it's well worth it, in my opinion, to wait for the hour. So you see right here on May 18th at about 10 a.m. if you came in here for a short and you rode this out, and you see where the price is at the point of the cross for Bitcoin was 27,123. So it crossed up again at 26,984. So you don't necessarily have to wait until it crosses again. In fact, you can get out as soon as you make gains. But with the hour, you don't have to look at the screen 24/7. And that's what I was doing. When I was doing the 5 minute, I was constantly looking at the screen. But when you find the cross on the hour, you don't have to worry about it for at least an hour or 2 hours. You take a break from looking at it or anything. But if you just focused on this moment right here, now you were still in profit from cross to cross. But if you caught this moment right here, which was, see how much this would have been. So if you caught it when it crossed right here to all the way down here, you would have made 2%. And if you wrote it from cross to cross, you would have got in here, and you would have wrote it out to here, which you'd still be in profit, but you won't be as much, but you would still be in profit. So let's just look at a couple of examples of why I do it on the hour. And you can look at the RSI as well to make better judgments here. So let's look at another cross on the hour. See it crossing right here, which is, when did it cross here? This was 27,066. So it crossed on 27,066, and then it crossed again at 27,142. So you make most of the gains. What ends up happening is it'll cross, and then it'll have some momentum. And I don't wait for it to cross again, because you'll make less if you go from cross to cross. But if you come in at the cross, now tomorrow I'm going to go over some strategies on good moments to find your stopping point. But right now I'm just going to give you, you can wait it out till maybe about here. You can use best judgment. Once you can look at your count. Once you're in gains, you're in gains. So if you rode this one out here, it's a 1%. So let's just look at a couple more times, and then I want to look at the strategy with the stock market. Let's look at this moment right here. Now this is all on the hour. So only disadvantage of doing it on the hour is you have to wait for the cross. That's the only disadvantage. Sometimes that can take a while. It could take 2 or 3 days before it crosses again. But here's it crossing here, and if you wrote it out all the way to up here, this was 11 hours, and you made almost 1.65%. So let's do, this one's a big one right here. But this one is a big one. Okay, so it crossed right here. Now, it pretty much latches on to the 9 EMA here. So you can make your best judgment. You can write it just for a little bit, and tomorrow I'm going to go over some exit points. But if you wrote out from here, let's say all the way down here, that is a 5% in 2 days, and then you can write it out for even longer. But I write it out just for a little bit until I reach a good enough amount, and then I sell. So let's just check on my Bitcoin futures right here, see what's happening. It probably hasn't even crossed yet. And the whole point of doing it on the hour is not to be in and out in 5 minutes. So I am going to be waiting on this because it looks like it's going to be going down. See, it's getting there, and it looks like it's still in a downtrend. But let's check on my futures trade, see what's happening. I'm still down. I'm down, but let's check this with the stock market and see how powerful that is. Let's look at SPY. I'm in no hurry for it to reach. Anyway, and my personal goal here is to try and make at least 10% a day. Because if you can do the math in your head, if you can make 10% a day and you're trading with 1,000, that's $100 a day. And it'll grow from there. But anyway, the same strategy for the stock market. Now with the stock market, it's a little bit different because you have to buy contracts. So what I ended up doing is I ended up buying contracts for 3 or 4 days, somewhere in there. The whole process is the same. Everybody's so focused on the stock market and making money right now. What I do is I I try to hold my trades to at least a day to 2 to 3. You'll make more profit, especially with doing this strategy. So if we look at SPY right now, if we look at SPY, and we see that it crossed right here, and basically if you've just waited out, if you just followed, pay no attention to what the candles are really doing, pay attention to what really, it kind of latches on to the 9 moving average. So if the moving average is still above everything, it could still go in your favor. So I just see and focus on what the 9 moving average is doing. If it's still remaining above everything, it still has a good chance of going up. But the cross happens right here, so if we just rode this out for, let's say, 3 days. Let's say 3 days, like right here's 3 days. 3 days, that's a $2 difference in price. So that's about $100. So if we rode that out even longer, you would have to buy a 10-day contract, but you would be looking at about $6 difference in price. That's what, yeah, it's about $3.15 right there. So let's look for another moment where it crosses. And again, I always focus on the hour, no matter where. No matter if this is towards the end of the market or the beginning of the market, if the cross happens, that's when I come in. And I don't worry about what is happening right now. I worry, I waited out for an hour or two. I waited out at least for an hour to 1 to 3 hours at least. I waited out, and just to see where it's going, because you're doing it on the hour, so I wait at least 1 to 3 hours, bare minimum. If not, I write it out longer. But anyway, let's look at this one right here. Crosses right here. So if we rode this out to there, that's about another, it's close to, I think, was it like 70 something bucks. Let's look at another example here. Crosses right here. So if we just rode this one out till up here, this is 3 days. So if you bought a 3-day contract, you would have a 7.28. 7.28. That's 364 in 4 days. So you're gonna find big ones and small ones. The only disadvantage of this is you have to wait for it to cross or get close to the cross. So let's go right here. Came in with a $3.95 call at this point. If you rode this out to bare minimum right here, which is, this is 4 hours. That's bare minimum. That's just watching it for just 4 hours. You won't, in 4 hours, you're not going to be glued to your computer screen looking at charts. You could take a break, which is something I actually like doing. You don't have to keep watching the screen. But you could write it out, and this one's about a little over $100 if you chose this one. Or you could write it out longer. Let's see, let's do 3 days here. 3 days is probably the bare minimum that I'll hold with a trade. Anyway, anything more than that, it's just going to get more expensive with your contracts. This one's a $8 difference in price. 8.34 times about 50. So that's about $4.17 in 3 days. So the good thing about doing it with options trading is once your balance starts growing, you can buy more contracts. So when you up it and you go to 2 contracts, that $4.17 suddenly turns into $800 in 3 days, and it just compounds over time. The bigger your balance grows, the more contracts you can buy, more contracts you buy, the more money you can potentially make. Let's just do this a couple more times. See, when it crosses right here. And if we roll this out, let's say 3 days. Let's say 3 days. Here we go, 3 days. Ooh, that's a good one right there. That is a $4.19 490. What was that? 14? Yeah, that's 1497. 1497 times about 50. That's $748 in 3 days. So, of course, if you've already scaled up your money and you have it with 2 contracts, that 748 would turn into 1400 in 4 days. So, you can compound really fast doing this strategy. This is why I do it on the hour. I focus on the hour. I focus on when it's crossing. You know, if it's crossing up, you're going to do a long with future trading. If they're crossing up with options trading, you're going to be doing a call. If it's going to crossing down, you're going to be doing a short on futures trading. If it's going down with the stock market, you're going to be doing a put. So that's kind of how it goes, and you see the results. So let's go over to my futures trade, see how it's doing. And it's going down. Let's double check on Bitcoin. I'm not worried about it because it looks like it's just going into a. I'm not worried about this trade. You know, when you do it on the hour, you're going to see those moments of, you know, it's a little bit of a negative balance because you're doing it on the hour. But overall here, from what it looks like, it's just fluctuating, and it's looking like I'm going to keep holding this position because it doesn't look like it looks like it's going to keep going down, in my opinion. If we look at this on the day here, let's just do that real quick. We see where Bitcoin's at on the day. Is it up or is it down? And another idea you can do is you can look at overall and see where the RSI is on the day. If you know the RSI on the day here is at like a 37.94, so that's extremely bearish in my opinion. So I'm gonna hold on to this trade today. If you guys stay tuned to my communities tab, if I make any gains from this, I'll post it. I'll post it in my communities tab if I made any gains. My goal here is to make at least 10% a day. That is my goal with futures trading because, you know, 10% a day, you can really scale up. You know, if you have $1,000, that's $100 a day. So anyway, if you guys like the strategy, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys future videos.